All right, parents, I appreciate all of your patience with the first couple weeks of this flexible distance learning sequence. And my goal tonight is to share with you a couple of the questions that have really been stirring, that grew legs, needing some answers, my responses to those, and just some information moving forward. Um, really what we needed to do from an educator perspective, as well as a parent, but putting on my teacher hat, I had to come up with a level of expectation. What am I trying to get the kids through these circumstances to be able to take away in the form of new learning? So how are these online lessons structured? I'm prepared to answer that and walk you through a little video explanation of what I do to actually put this into play for the students so that you can kind of reverse engineer from the end user product back to what it is we're trying to accomplish and not creating busy work. And the next is how can we give feedback to the students in Google Classroom? What feedback is fair to expect and how will it be given? Also, have a good response to that. Hopefully, you find it to be good. And then the next is Zoom. How can we utilize Zoom to enhance the communication while maintaining both security and respect? And I am extremely confident that I can explain how we're going to do it and the fact that it'll actually happen. So, the first question of the three is how might the online lessons be structured? So I've operated for a number of years in Excel to organize my lesson planning. So there are a lot more in-depth aspects of it that go into a full week when we are back at the ranch at NPE. But nonetheless, each day we'll organize it with some type of question to just invite the children into sharing, to feel good and safe about the learning process. And we would regularly do that in our morning meeting. Then during the 30-minute math period, I'll typically share either a brain pop video or something from Khan Academy just to kind of get that what we call anticipatory set, really set the stage for what the learning might be in the activities and the instruction. Then, as you can see here, I have the title of the lesson. So, really, we're looking to reinforce the concept of area, where there are two dimensions, a length and a width. So through the practice pages and the reteach pages, three of those reteach pages, 210, after looking at all of the materials in this lesson, I looked at reteach page 210, and that's why it's underlined. That's going to be what I call our formative assessment. So I'll look at that one specifically, give some feedback to describe, are they on target with where we want them to be, on pace with the learning we want them to find? And I'll give feedback there. And then to finish out the 30 minutes of the math time, the kids are expected to get on to splash math and follow in sequence according to the curriculum. Then, separate from the 30 minutes of math, we want to look at 10 minutes of fact fluency building for multiplication and division facts. It's definitely imperative that students be masters of their multiplication and division facts by the end of third grade. To hit the ground run in fourth grade, having taught fourth grade for a number of years, also really, really important. Then in our English language arts period, we'll have our novel that we're working on, either read aloud or reading collectively as a group in a guided setting. Then some independent reading with a hard copy of a book at home, as well as any Raz Kids or accessing Epic. So we have basically a question of the day, math, some facts, basic fact fluency, and then some reading language arts. Now, the piece I want to talk about that links into the second question about feedback on Google Classroom is looking at the concept in the first lesson in chapter 19 for math. And I definitely want to share a quick interjection. Working with Bill McCormack has been great as fellow educators and fathers. We can talk the same talk and really guide one another with good reflection. And I want to thank Bill for Connor's dad, Connor McCormack's dad, for just inviting me to think like, how are we, what's the end look like? What do we want our kids to be able to demonstrate at the end of this online learning? So, in the first wave of that concept, we have a formative assessment on page 210. We're going to look at that, and it's going to help me form any of the future instruction. In the second wave of that spiral, same concept, but we're going to enhance the depth of the details and also really encourage some problem solving. So at extra practice page 152, looking at that is going to be my way to give a summative assessment of how the students demonstrated their understanding of the concept of area. So, coming back to our questions, and I tried to speak quickly so that I'm not boring you or taking up too much of your time. I appreciate you listening. So, how are the online lessons structured? That 30-10-30 framework that I use in my Excel spreadsheet, but then also how we're going to spiral the math concepts and hit them twice to really emphasize that mastery of the ideas. Then the Google Classroom, what feedback is fair to expect? So if I go to Tribe Dudrick, and this is my teacher, and I go to the classwork link, I can see today's assignments, and view the assignment. From here, what I'm able to do is see that 20 students did enough of the work and click the right buttons to have it be turned in, and 6 students still have yet to turn in all of the assignments. So if for ease of just choosing the first one, we look at Claire Anderson's assignments, they're going to show up over here in the right. And as I click on them, it'll allow me to view her responses and then also make a private comment to Claire. So if this was a formative or a summative assessment, the workbook page 18.2, then what I could do is look at Claire's responses, any one of the students' responses, and then give some private comments to her, and she should be prompted upon logging in that there have been comments returned from one of her teachers. So again, we have the 3 questions. First, how are the online lessons structured? What will be feedback fair to expect in Google Classroom? How often will it be given? And the second part of that question is, my goal is to have feedback for each of those students for those formative and or summative assignments by the end of the weekend, so that they will know how they performed before starting another week's lessons. And the big question, which I've been eager to really get underway, is Zoom. So, if and how can we utilize Zoom to enhance the communication while maintaining security and respect? And I know that by giving out a password and engaging the waiting room, security should be completely fine. And I know that the students are going to be friendly, listen, and show control, just as if we're back at NPE, so there won't be any issues of behavior on Zoom. I'm certain of that. So our goal is to initiate our first Zoom session, hopefully on Thursday, 2 days from now, at 10 a.m. And we'll put out the link and the password, and anyone that can join us. We'll just take time to say hello, to see each other, and just reconnect, and then look at what is best for date and time and routine, so that we can maximize everyone being able to be together during our tribe meeting at least once a week. And we'll see what kind of legs it grows to do more often as the situation dictates. So we're going to do Zoom. We're going to get some feedback in Google Classroom, and the structure of the lessons are going to be of a spiral nature to maximize the learning. So I know that was lengthy and quickly spoken, but hopefully that gives a bit more information as far as how we're going to structure the lessons, what feedback we can get, and how we can put your children's smiling faces on front of the computer so that we can engage one another with the great relationships we've begun. So again, this is Mr. Dan Dudrick, your child's school dad. Peace, love,